Before we get into it, a big thank you to today's sponsor, IoT Tech Expo Global, who are hosting their next free-to-attend conference in London between the 1st and 2nd of December.
Hello, and welcome back to the 5V podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Gijs Meuleman, who's the CEO for Sensorfy. Welcome to the podcast, Gijs. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No, we're really excited to have you. How's things? Everything okay at your end?
Yes, I'm great. Thank you.
Good. Well, I suppose just for obviously the best place to start for the viewers is yourself, Gijs, right? So give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you've come from, what Sensorfy is, and how you came up with the whole idea.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to. So my name is Gijs Meuleman. I'm an engineer by background. I studied at Eindhoven University of Technology, a master in so-called RF microelectronics. And after doing a PhD for about 2 years, I decided to quit and start my own company. That was the start of Sensorfy. And I saw a lot of potential in the IoT market. At the time, it was quite relatively new. I saw a lot of potential. And so I started a company there. And it's been 7 years now.
Nice. Everything going okay? Exactly as you envisioned? Or maybe even better than you envisioned, right?
Well, actually, I didn't envision that it would become this size. So it's gone much better than I anticipated.
Well, that's kudos to you, sir. So well done. You are a bit of a serial entrepreneur, as they say over in the UK. To be fair, because I know you're doing a little bit, which we'll touch on very briefly, and then get back to Sensorfy straight away. But you're doing a little bit about the housing crisis in the Netherlands at the moment as well, aren't you? On the side.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also the CEO of Meuleman Investments, and we aim to solve the house, or at least part of the housing crisis in the Netherlands by buying offices and then turning them into apartments and studios.
Yeah, perfect. Just to quickly touch on that as well, where did that idea come from? Was it something that you envisioned?
It's a hobby. It's a hobby that a bit gotten out of hand, as it usually goes.
Yeah.
So over the years, I decided to start a team there and venture into that area. And then I found my partner, and then it became a company.
It just kind of grew from there. Yeah. I suppose they do say, like, if you're working on a hobby of yours, it's more enjoyable and it means a lot more. So well done as well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will be quite impressed with that. And again, fair play to you for looking at something and trying to help people as well. So back to Sensorfy then. So you mentioned that obviously it's grown a bit more than you anticipated. So give us a bit of an introduction to what it is you do. What is Sensorfy?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Back in 2012, I decided to start an IoT development company. We developed various IoT solutions, actually in a wide range of industries. And from those solutions that we built over the years, we built our ultra-low power IoT technology stack, which is called a set of modular hardware and software components that enable us to quickly build tailor-made predictive maintenance applications for our clients. So we help our clients, mainly industrial manufacturers, with integrating IoT and enabling predictive maintenance into their assets.
Amazing.
And, by that we help them to reduce unplanned downtime. One of the biggest costs for industrial manufacturers.
Yeah. And cost comes into a lot of stuff. I have seen something quite interesting that I am going to ask you about on your website. Your tagline, as soon as you go onto the website, is the world's most accurate predictive maintenance solution. So I'm intrigued to know where that came from, what you've got to kind of back that up, basically.
Yeah, really good question. So what we do is we build smart sensor technology to predict technical failure in advance. And in that way, we eliminate unplanned downtime and lengthening the life cycle of assets. And we mainly do that for original equipment manufacturers. And we enable this predictive maintenance by integrating our IoT platform technology into the OEM assets and that's good for the environment, but also good for business.
Yeah, perfect. So how does the smart maintenance and stuff help industry manufacturers, for instance, remain quite competitive in what it is they're doing?
It's a really good question. So in multiple ways. So adding predictive maintenance can help their customer, they're usually an asset owner, to give them an extra service and warn them in advance when their assets is about to fail. And that helps the asset owner to lengthen the life cycle of their assets. And that's a service they would really not like. But also, on the other hand, it helps the original equipment manufacturer to offer a different kind of business model. So nowadays it's usually purely transactional. So they sell some goods and services at one time, and then they wait till an asset owner requires a new asset. And if you know the status of your equipment in the field, then you can offer your asset as a service. And that's called servitisation, a trend many original equipment manufacturers are looking into now.
Yeah. And something else that I found quite interesting about some of the conversations we've had and your website as well, touching on pretty much every conversation I have at the moment, is sustainability. Right, it's at the front of a lot of people's focus. I think pretty much in the UK at some point it's going to be like a big thing that you have to have in terms of audits and things like that, a real focus on sustainability. So what is it that you're doing at the moment with your technology that's helping create a more sustainable world?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked, because I think it fits perfectly into becoming more sustainable. One of the things we enable is that with our technology, asset owners can use their assets for a longer time. So basically, the materials you use, you can spread them out over a longer time. Also, so that's good for the environment, right?
Yeah.
Also, when you go to a servitization model, the next thing that comes up is circularity. So what you do is you guarantee the performance of your asset, and after a certain amount of time, you can also bring back the equipment that you bring them back to your manufacturing site, and then you degrade, you use some of the materials again for the new assets you produce. So it's actually a start of building a circular business model.
Yeah.
And by that, of course, reduce the CO2 footprint of your equipment.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one big circle, really. And I know that the carbon footprint and sustainability, and for want of a better phrase for what you were saying, like recycling stuff that you're already using, it's just one big circle. Touching on a bit more about what Sensorfy and predictive maintenance are kind of enabling within industries. I've had a really good conversation last week about 4.0 and 4.5. So I think it's quite good to touch on that, especially as you mentioned some of the big players are in industry and what you're doing. So what is predictive maintenance kind of enabling in industry 4.0 at the moment?
Yeah, okay. So a couple of advantages. So first of all, if you know the status of your equipment in the field, you're able to do better lifecycle management. You can see what's going on and what you need to repair in advance. Next to that, it allows you to create, for an OEM, to create new streams of revenue as you're adding services to your equipment. But also you can offer, in a later stage, you can offer your equipment as a service. Like I said, you have more sustainable use of your resources as you lengthen the lifetime of your assets. And by doing so, you limit the industrial waste that's being generated when you create any product. And of course, what helps is that you have safe and reliable operations. in that way, you make sure that your assets work all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it does quite a lot, right? What I'm curious to know, and going back to pretty much the start of the conversation and what Sensorfy is and what you first envisioned, what did you first envision? So out of everything that it does at the moment, I know technology flies, right? It starts off with one thing and it just becomes another thing pretty quickly. So what did you originally envision was the purpose of Sensorfy and predictive maintenance to what it is now?
Yeah, so if you look back 7 years from now, when I started my company, I didn't think much about scalability, and I was just an engineer, and I thought I could do a better job at all the other companies that are out there. So I developed various IoT solutions in a wide range of industries.
Yeah.
And over the years, it became clear that we needed to focus more. So 3 years ago, we decided to bring this focus, and we concentrated on IoT for predictive maintenance, because I think I can make a bigger impact. And also, we looked hard at the customers we served in the past years, and that were mostly industrial companies that used IoT to enable predictive maintenance. And we mainly serve the industrial OEM market by integrating our technology into their equipment or assets.
Yeah. Okay. So it's gone quite far, basically, to what you first envisioned as an engineer to now
absolutely
a CEO of one of the it's a company that's really doing it for a purpose. I think is the right word. It's purposeful, right? What you guys are trying to do.
Absolutely.
Within the same thing as anything, though, Gijs, there's always technicalities or challenges, right? So let's touch on that a little bit. What are some of the main challenges that you've seen, or some of the core technicalities that you've got over there?
Yeah, so the technicalities, maybe you need to help me a little bit about it. What you're looking for?
Yeah, so let's change the word for technicalities to some challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges that you've faced in terms of when you're implementing what Sensorfy do, or is there anything that you've come up against with a client that it's been a little bit more difficult than previous, and then how you've kind of overcome that? So with predictive maintenance, are there some obvious challenges that you face quite often, or?
Yeah, so in general, with IoT, you need to have an IoT system, or usually you need to have an IoT system, and that comes with several challenges. Usually in the technical area, it's mostly low power consumption, extremely low power consumption. That's often a challenge. You need to make sure that it works for years sometimes on a single battery. Yeah. Also the connectivity. You need to make a good choice on the kind of connectivity you use, and that's in combination with the battery consumption. That's quite a lot of a technical challenge. Then after you've completed that, then you need to manage your IoT devices on a scale. So manage them from a distance, because you can't go to the particular assets usually, and you want to manage them remotely. So making sure to have all the infrastructure in place to do that, that's a challenge by itself as well. Then once you have set up all your IoT devices, then the data comes in, and then the next challenge starts, which is making sense of the data, and also making sure that the data tells you something about the state of the maintenance. Yeah. And that can also take quite some time to collect all the data and develop a model, retrain a model, and really gain the predictive maintenance insights that you're looking for.
Yeah, so it seems like there's quite a lot of challenges, to be fair to you. One of them is obviously time, and it seems like the savior of all of this is the data, which is kind of pivotal to all of it.
The free-to-attend IoT Tech Expo Global is arriving on the 1st and 2nd of December at Olympia in London with over 100 speakers and 5,000 attendees. The conference is back and better than ever with features including an AI-powered matchmaking tool, live and on-demand sessions and access to 4 co-located shows, including blockchain, digital transformation, AI and big data expos. Speakers include representatives of top companies such as Arup, Lloyds Banking Group, Building Research Establishment, and many more. Visit iottechexpo.com/global to secure your free ticket. Details are in the description below.
So we've spoken about what you first envisioned 7 years ago, 8 years ago, to what it is now. What do you think it could be? So where do you see this going as we get closer and closer to a more prominent Industry 5.0, for instance?
Well, in the future, I see that most of the OEMs will sell their products as a service, and that they are not only accounted for by the performance of their asset, but also the impact it has on the environment. That you see that in other industries already quite a lot. And I think in the industrial equipment, that will also, it will take some time, but there you see already the pressure also to see, okay, what's my carbon footprint as well, and being aware of that, and also being able to measure it, that will help in the future.
Yeah.
So what do I envision Sensorfy to be in the future? I think we are more and more integrate various technologies and help OEMs to speed up their path towards servitisation and predictive maintenance. And using our technology, they can do so much more quickly than when they have to do it all by themselves.
Yeah, perfect. And to be fair, no one really likes doing everything by themselves, right? Especially if there's something out there to help.
Yeah, it's usually quite expensive to do everything yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, this comes up all the time in technology. It doesn't matter how fast paced it is, and we all know that technology is super fast paced. To where we were 10 years ago, for instance, to where we're probably going to be in 10 years' time is astronomical and mind-blowing, for instance, but the same thing keeps coming up in its cost. I was having a conversation yesterday about quantum computing and like the security aspects of that, and the amount of money that's going to cost for businesses to kind of get around the whole security with a quantum computer and what people can do is just mental. So all this is good, but you need to be able to afford it.
Yeah, true.
And that's one of the challenges that we probably should have spoken about earlier on when we were talking about different things. So yeah, it's mental. You've touched a lot on what you're doing at the moment in terms of industrial and that sort of stuff, but there's more to you at Sensorfy, right? You don't just, there's more areas that you focus. So let's go into a little bit more about that. I'm interested to know about like the railways, some of the building assets. You touched on it earlier on, the waste and what you're doing there. So give us some examples of some of the use cases that you've got in some of the core industries that you're working in at the moment.
Yeah, I'm glad to. So currently we focus on 4 core industries, and like I said already, it's industrial equipment, and that's quite a broad category, to be honest. So one of the examples we have there is that we rescue equipment is something we connect at the moment, and we're also going to enable predictive maintenance there. Within the railways, we've done quite some projects, and one of the most recent ones is with a big OEM of turnout systems, so railway switches, where we built a sensor system to predict when a railway switch needs maintenance. That's based on vibrations. Very interesting. Also on the building assets, then you need to think about elevators, escalators, automatic doors, these type of equipments that you see within buildings. We've done for a big OEM in automatic doors and escalators. We've built a sensor solution that's based on that's also based on vibration. We measure some of the failure modes of automatic doors, and in that case, you can predict some upcoming failures, and service or maintenance engineers can already service the equipment before an actual failure happens, and making sure that the door is always up and running. And within waste, we've mainly worked on a waste management solution for underground bins. And one of the products we've built there is a smart access control system, where we with this access control system, you can control who's able to deposit waste, but also we can also detect when this underground bins needs maintenance.
Yeah. Okay, that's real clever. And that it kind of obviously one of the biggest topics out there at the moment is smart cities, right? And I can imagine that's going to have quite an impact on things like that and the whole sustainability. That one particularly really interests me when I seen that. I'm really grateful that you touched on that. So let's talk. We've touched on it ever so slightly with the future, what's happening, what's going on. Let's get your insights on not just what Sensorfy is going to achieve or want to. You mentioned that you want to be a big player in helping with a lot of things. So one of the big things at the moment that's always spoken about, one of the big trends was the word I was looking for, sorry, is AI and ML. So where does the future of AI and predictive maintenance come into things?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And in predictive maintenance, there are multiple ways to detect an upcoming failure. And one of the most recent algorithms is using machine learning and AI. And we see that within the applications we use, it's not only AI, but there are much more and more failures you can only detect with machine learning or AI. One of the trends you see there is in the past is all the data was sent to the cloud, and there the model was trained and the insights were gathered. And what we see now is that the amount of data is exploding so fast that it's often not possible anymore to, or not cost effective to send all the data to the cloud. So you see the processing that of the data is getting more and more towards the sensor or the edge, which is called so-called edge processing. And we do that in several projects as well. So the advantage of that is that you only have to send the insights to the cloud, so you reduce the amount of data significantly. On the other hand, you need to train and retrain your model, and your model is not in the cloud itself, but it's distributed among all your assets. That's something you need to manage.
Yeah. So, I mean, the AI is going to play a big part by the sounds of it. It's a big player again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, it's a big player in a lot of things, but it sounds like a big player in yours. So, I mean, you briefly touched on it, but what I'm quite keen to get an understanding from you, and it can be brief, it can be a sentence if you've even thought about this. I'd imagine you probably have, but what do you want from Sensorfy in, let's say, 5 years' time? What do you envisage you might be, or some technology that you're already adding to behind the scenes? Where are you going with all this, basically, is what I'm trying to say. What in 5 years' time, what do you see yourself?
Yeah.
Sensorfy?
So what I see in 5 years' time is that we can very quickly enable OEMs to integrate predictive maintenance into their assets, even faster than we do now, by having all the technology blocks available and quickly set them up for success.
Yep. Yeah, and it's good because as you're moving forward, we've already said it, technology's moving forward, right? There's probably going to be more that you can add to your repertoire or your ammunition, if you like, in terms of of what you can achieve. So thank you for that. I think it gives us a really good insight.
Yeah, especially on the data analysis side. That's where we want to add much more value.
Yeah, and I think, again, no matter what we do, and I know a lot of people talk about the IoT and connected devices and stuff like that, but still one of the most important thing is data. in anything that we do, we need data to work out different stuff.
Right,
so again,
data,
thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for the insight into yourself, into Sensorfy. As always, I have pre-warned you. Some people do like to think on the spot. Some people don't. At the end, we like to do some quick fire questions. I normally do 3, but I'll be honest, as you were talking, I've added 1 down because I'm interested to know how you want to answer the question, basically. But we'll start at the top. So the first question is just your thoughts on the metaverse, your personal thoughts on the metaverse.
On the metaverse. Oh, that's a really good question. I'm to be honest, I'm not so. I'm not very much into that topic. I'm a bit skeptical.
Yeah, I'm getting that a lot.
I have to see how it works out.
I'm getting that a lot. I think it's going to be huge. I mean, there's no question about it. It's going to be massive. I'm very similar to you, and I think the thing that keeps cropping up for me is how people are going to switch between their virtual reality back to their actual reality, and if that's going to become a problem, basically. But we'll see. It's exciting nevertheless.
Absolutely, yeah.
Second question is your favorite technology that you've owned or used outside of what you do work-wise.
Outside what I do for work.
Yes. So your favorite technology that you've seen, used, owned.
I cannot say GitHub for outside. Well, outside work, maybe one of the most tools I use most is Evernote.
Okay.
Evernote is I use it a lot. It's like my digital brain.
Yeah, that's the app. That's the app, isn't it? Where
it's the app, but it's also on the MacBook, and it's on your phone. Yeah. I tend to forget everything, so I write everything down.
Yeah. Is it still an elephant? If I remember right, is it an elephant?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, the elephant logo. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because if you forget everything, they say elephants don't forget, right?
Yeah,
when you start thinking about things, it just makes sense.
Really, I never thought about it. Why it was that? But probably it's a reason why.
It would make sense if it was a fish.
yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So the final question. The final question I've written down before we had the conversation was some of the technologies that we talk about. We've mentioned the metaverse and that sort of stuff. We're skeptical about, but think technology like driverless cars. Does that scare you, and what that can become in the future?
To me, it doesn't, because I own a Tesla, and I use the autopilot all the time. To be honest, and that's already a kind of driverless function.
Yeah, for sure.
In the beginning, it's quite.
Were you nervous when you first used it?
Yeah. Then I was also a bit skeptical, but as you own it and use it for a longer time, then you get more and more dependent on it, and it makes less errors than yourself.
Yeah, I suppose there is that. I've never used it. It does scare me a little bit, and I'll probably be one of those ones where I'm just like going like that on the steering wheel, whether I need to grab it or not, or hovering over the brake. But yeah, no, I think the best answer I've ever had on that one was very recently, actually. I said, would you ever own a driverless car, or does it scare you? And he said, yeah, of course, I'll own it. Doesn't mean I have to use it, but I'll own it. So I was like, that's actually that's a great answer. The final question for you, and I wrote this down because I feel like you've done quite a lot, Gijs, in terms of Sensorfy, outside of Sensorfy. You've grown it beyond your belief. So I wanted to know your biggest achievement, both personally and within Sensorfy.
Okay.
So 2 separate questions, basically.
Yeah.
What do you believe your biggest achievement
biggest
is?
Achievement and within Sensorfy.
Yeah, so personal and Sensorfy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fact that you've taken quite long to answer it just shows how much you've achieved.
Maybe, yeah. So what I'm most proud of within Sensorfy is the team we've built over the years. I've got a lot of exceptional people around me, and the passion and the excitement they're working on the technology solutions we develop. That really excites me. And I've made some mistakes in the past by not hiring the right team members, but the team that's there at the moment, I'm really proud of. And
we'll make sure we send you that as a snippet so you can use it in your next team meeting. Your next team meeting, you can have that snippet and you can just put it up on the board and say, look, I do value you.
Absolutely. Well, and then outside I've said of that, it many times already. Yeah.
Good.
So that's
outside of that, what's your biggest achievement out?
Personally, I think at age 25, I said I want to have a passive income that exceeds all my expenses, and I thought I could reach that by age 30, and I was able to reach it by age 27, and Perfect. That was something I could not, I couldn't envision actually.
Yeah,
and then you just work on it. You work on it all the time. And then at some moment, it's a reality, and that's something I'm really proud of.
It's so important, and I stress this because I manage a team within the business, and I stress this to them all the time. You have to have goals. I think it's so important. Whether it's, and I do the same thing that I've just said to you. I think you should have goals within work and outside of work, and I think you should have two separate goals. I think you should have one that's quite realistic. And gives you something to look forward to, but also something that stretches you a little bit. Because if you get to that, you've just blown all belief. Thank you so much, by the way. I've really, really enjoyed this. It's been a pleasure having you. Final thing is, where can people find you, Gijs? So what's your social media tags? What's the website for Sensorfy?
Yeah, so the best way to reach the Sensorfy team is go to the website, www.sensorfy.ai. And we're also, we're mainly on LinkedIn. So there you can find my profile if you want to connect, Gijs Meuleman. And you can also follow our page there.
Perfect. Again, thank you so much. Just for the benefit of the listeners, thank you for joining. Obviously, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. You can find us on weare5vmedia.com, and social medias are just 5V Media. So that's where we can be found. We look forward to seeing you next time. And Gijs, once again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and just keep doing what you're doing, my friend. I think you'll go in some really exciting places.
Thank you very much, Brett. Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to today's sponsor, IoT Tech Expo Global. Look forward to seeing you at the conference on the 1st and 2nd of December. All details to register are in the episode notes.